art scene. Acclaimed artist Kendell Geers is back with his 6th solo exhibition at the Goodman Gallery, paying homage to his hometown of Johannesburg through his latest body of work titled In Gozi We Trust. Kendell uses his wordplay and imagery to bring attention to the role that art plays in how we process everyday lived reality. The exhibition officially opened last night and will be showcased at the gallery until the 18th of January next year. Kendell is in studio with us to tell us more about his latest project. It's great to have you in studio. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Let's talk about the significance of the title of your latest project.
Yes. I mean, I play a lot with words and I remember growing up, so many signs saying, danger, gevaar, in Gozi.
Yes.
This was part of my childhood, part of growing up in South Africa. And then as times changed, so the ideas of danger changed. And of course, during the apartheid era, later on, I was an anti-apartheid activist. And then there was this idea of die rooi gevaar and die swart gevaar.
Yes.
And then as time shifted beyond that, then we had the suburbs and the electric fences and these warning signs about, razor mesh or electricity. And so I was thinking, how might an artist today, because each time I come back to South Africa, I see it shifting. I see those signs changing. I see the ideas of danger shifting and changing. And of course, there's very real threats out there. But in some ways, we also become addicted to the idea of danger. We become addicted to this idea of how danger is affecting our consciousness, affecting the way we imprison ourselves. Because when you put a fence around your house, you are keeping people out, but you're also imprisoning yourself. And as those prisoners of perception that art, I think, is able to try to challenge, and where the work of art then becomes a window to open up into another state of consciousness. The window shows you things beyond the obvious.
Wow, that is incredibly powerful, and I can completely relate to that, especially when you talk about how we imprison ourselves because of what we perceive to be a danger. What are the other themes that you are exploring in this project?
Well, listening to, as I'm waiting here, listening to the broadcast, the previous stories, there's so much that needs to happen in this country, so much that needs to change, very real threats. And I'm especially today preoccupied by the question of land rights, and land rights, and also would like to spell that with an R, R-I-T-E-S, rights. Yes. The right of the land to speak, and also the respect for the land, the deep respect for the spirit of the land. And I think it's also important for me to think about the climate change and the problems of the climate. So I decided to take on a very complex subject, still life painting and landscape painting. How might I use still life painting and landscape painting in order to try to speak about other ways of talking about the land? And we just saw earlier a golden bottle, which is a sculpture which I made a few years ago. And that golden bottle is called Mind, M-I-N-E-D. There's a lot of play on words. And this idea, it's coming out of the ground. It's coming out of the earth. And it's a self-portrait, but it's a broken self-portrait. This idea of the Heineken imported from Holland, like my Dutch ancestors, like all Afrikaans people in South Africa, we're all imported from Holland. And then there's also taking responsibility for one's ancestors, taking responsibility for what happened to the land, taking responsibility for transformation, in an alchemical idea, transforming the lead into gold, trying to, and it's called mind there's the implicit idea of the mind, thinking. How might my thoughts change my world? How might my thoughts affect these questions? Because art changes the world, one perception at a time.
And if we can change our mind, what we project as well could be quite different. You've always been provocative and, thought-provoking in the work that you do. How have you found that people have responded to your work from when you started, being vocal through your artworks and through how you engage in terms of your activism work to where you are today? What are some of the things that people say when they give you feedback?
Well, I think that the artist is a very valuable part of society. And I think we don't respect artists in South Africa nearly as much as we should. Because the artist is the one who is able to ask more questions than answers. The artist is the one who's able to ask uncomfortable questions. To be able to be somehow a kind of witness to a society. To dare to challenge authority. But also speak for people who don't have a voice to speak. And those questions can sometimes lead to very uncomfortable responses in people. So one can sometimes become controversial or be called out or be challenged. And I think that it's good that art challenges, because if it doesn't challenge, well, then you're not doing the right thing. If it's not challenging, then it becomes a mute witness.
Absolutely. And we almost become complicit of, what is happening, whether it's the danger or whether it's the political landscape. It's almost like if you don't say anything, you're just agreeing and going with the wind. You're not probing anything.
Well, this question of complicity becomes very interesting because silence is not an excuse. Not speaking sometimes is more dangerous than saying the wrong thing. It's very important that we have the freedom to speak. That's what art's about, the freedom to speak. And it's important that artists speak more in challenging structures of hierarchy that need to be questioned.
The exhibition opened last night.
Yes.
What do people do if they want to come through and just get a walkabout?
Well, call the gallery. I mean, the exhibition's open to the public. It's going to be there for a while. There are paintings, there are sculptures, there's some challenging works that challenge because this question of habit becomes then, how do we fall into our habits and stop seeing ourselves? And we end up thinking, oh, it's like that because it's common sense. There's no such thing as common sense. They're just habits. We need to break those habits to open the windows to see fresh the world that we're living in. And art is a very good way to challenge that. Some kind of mirror, but it's one of those mirrors that shows you slightly differently than you'd like to see yourself.
How can a person not love you, Kendell? Thank you so much for your time. We love your insights, and I'll definitely go out to the Goodman Gallery to check out what you've got in store for us. Thank you so much once again.
Wonderful.
That's acclaimed South African artist Kendell Geers speaking to us about his latest body of work under the title In Gozi We Trust. It's currently on display at the Goodman Gallery. It opened last night. It was also in conversation with Ati. Really great insights came out from there as well. But you can see the exhibition until the 18th of January in 2020. We're going to take a quick break. We'll bring you more when we return.